moving along, I just don't get as many music related stories as I would like to have on this podcast. I mean, it's getting a little bit tougher and tougher to cover all of the different bases that I would like to cover. Music is actually one of them. Like I said, I don't actually very often get what I consider to be a good music story. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. But I did find one this week. So there was an incident in Toronto at a hardcore punk show. Now, this band, their name is Ended. And they did something at one of their shows that is pretty reprehensible, even beyond like the standards of like the hardcore punk community. Like the hardcore punk scene, you get a little bit more leeway for bad behavior. But it seems like you don't get a whole lot of leeway for directing fans to attack other fans at your show. Sounds like you don't get quite that much. So, the story, for anybody who might not be familiar with it, and there's probably not really much reason why you would be familiar with it, because even as far as punk standards go, and it kind of sucks. And they don't just really suck musically, but they also suck as people. So, at their show, their singer goes into like this weird little anti Semitic, anti Israel little rant. And then he points at one of his fans. So there's a guy at the show who's wearing a banana suit. And he just says to him, it's like, well, you obviously came here looking for some attention wearing that, and now you're going to get it. Said that anybody that can grab this guy and rip his costume off of him, basically strip him naked in front of like all of this audience. I mean, at least like strip him down to his underwear or whatever he might actually be wearing under that costume. If anything, you don't necessarily know that there's anything there. But anybody that can do that, they're basically going to get, like a little prize. He said that they could have the band's set list, which is something that some people do like to get at a show. Like I guess it's kind of like a cool thing, like the actual set list that the actual band is looking at on stage as they play their show. If it's the right band, that's kind of a cool thing to have. Is it for End It? Then personally, I really don't think so. Like I said, in my opinion, they're kind of crap. But just basically, a bunch of guys that would go on stage and make like an anti-Semitic, anti-Israel rant on stage. Like you're already putting some black marks in the ledger there. But then to turn around and direct the fans to actually go after another fan at the show, yeah, that's pretty reprehensible. It's unacceptable even by hardcore punk standards. And there were, I think, what maybe stood out to me as much as that was the detail that there were some people who described themselves as being from the old school hardcore punk scene, talking about how it's like, oh well, this is the kind of thing that we did back in the day. If you showed up at a show wearing a costume like that, you'd get jumped, you'd get beaten up, you'd get stabbed. There always used to be people getting beaten up at all the shows. There used to be people getting stabbed at the shows, and it's like, I'm sorry, this does not sound like an exciting community to be a part of. I mean, okay, maybe exciting, in the sense of like invoking mortal terror, but it doesn't sound like a lot of fun. And I'm sorry, but if those were, if that was the day, back in the day, as these guys were saying, well, then the day kind of sucked. And honestly, so do you. Like, if you're actually nostalgic for that and wish you could go back to that and are actually justifying, an attack on just like a well-meaning fan just there to have fun, with that kind of, like, oh, we used to stab people at our shows. We used to stab people at the punk show. I'm glad that you're not there anymore. Glad that you've never been to any of the shows that I've been to. Like, holy shit. But fortunately, it does seem like the majority of the punk community, they are not at all in favor of this. Sounds like Hatebreed basically kicked these guys off of their European tour. I mean, that is it's more hardcore metal than hardcore punk, but basically said, yeah, not here. Not with us. So there have already been some consequences for these guys. So you would at the very least hope that, yeah, hopefully they're just not going to do that again. I mean, they haven't so far as I've heard. Like, I haven't heard anything about them apologizing to this guy. So maybe they don't think that they did anything wrong. Maybe they think that that was all cool. In which case, probably a lot of these other bands are just going to, not have them around anymore. And they don't really strike me as a kind of band that's good enough to be touring on their own, at least not on any kind of a major tour. So I guess, shucks, what else can you say? Fuck them. Hey, end it. Fuck you.